You're now tuned in with Street Politics with Talessia, reporting from the streets to the White House. With all this latest one-way report, we are here to bring it to you straight and uncut. Hello, everyone. We are now live with Tamika Hamilton. She's running for Congress in the 3rd district in Cali. And I'm excited to have her on. She is so busy, and she has been doing the thing. So I want you all to, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tamika, and introduce yourself and tell the people about you. Get this straight.
Okay. Hey, everybody. This is Tamika Hamilton, and I'm running for Congress against John Garamendi in the 3rd Congressional District in California, which is Northern California.
Tell them a little bit about, I'm going to tell you a little bit about, I met Tamika when she first started running. We had reached out to each other on social media. Then we had became great friends after that. So I was really excited. I'm really excited about her campaign and the way she's going about her campaign. She's really out there campaigning, stuff that I always tell people that's campaigning. Like, listen, you have to get out there. You have to get to the people and all that. If you don't, I don't know how in the world you think you're going to win, but good luck with that. So Tamika has been out there doing it. So could you tell people a little bit more about your run and what's your issues, your agenda when you do become Congresswoman?
Okay. So Northern California it's underrepresented. It's unfortunately we've lost so many seats, and we have 53 districts in California, and only 7 of them are Republican held seats. And unfortunately, in the past 2 cycles, we've lost I think a total of 8 or 9 seats. I have to go back and check the numbers, but and primarily those were lost down in the southern area of California. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to Northern California, or just California in general, the conservative base, we just don't have we just don't have the representation. And so a lot of so many people on the left and right just feel like it's a lost cause, which across the nation people say. But I will tell you that I live in a really purple district, which means that it's a great mix of blue and red. And I have 8 counties. 4 of them vote red. And this is a great opportunity to take it back. When I talk to moderate Democrats, I don't know initially if they are Democrats, but when I stop them at Costco, I don't care. I'll stop anybody anywhere. Mm-hmm. And they tell me they only care about the issues. And so I started this race because I wanted to give a voice back to the people. It was never this thing where someone picked my name out of a hat. I went to the local central committees, and I said, hey, I want to do this. And of course it was met with shock and awe, but I stayed in the game, and almost a year to date, I've been working really hard at this.
Okay, tell us a little bit more about your background, because are you still in active duty?
No, I'm actually in reserve. I was active duty 14 years. In the past 3 going on 4 years, I've been in reserve status at Travis Air Force Base. And my husband's a police officer. I have 4 beautiful children. He is also a Navy vet. And I originally came from Maryland. I'm born and raised in Southern Maryland, Calvert County. And when we got stationed out here, I was just like, I never thought I'd be stationed in California, to be frank. And then when we got here, we loved the area. But when I left active duty to transition into the reserves, I realized very quickly we wouldn't be able to sustain a life here if it continued in the way in which it was going. And I thought about my children. I thought about the people that I know in the district, and it was just like, I have to do something. And this is my way of giving back and raising my right hand again. And serving this nation and serving this district is what I'm going to do.
So you said 8 counties, and 4 of them mostly Republican and the other 4 is Democrat. So how do you reach across the aisle to the other 4 that mostly vote Democrat?
Well, the other 4 actually, it's kind of in the middle. Like for example, I'll give you an example. Solano County, 39% registered Republicans. So it's not completely blue, right? What I do is I just talk about kitchen table issues. I don't get into the rigmarole of like why you vote this way, or why you vote blue or red. I don't do all of that. I just talk about the issues that matter to them the most,
Mhm.
and that resonates with them. And and if they try to go to the polarizing argument that's happening in the media, I just bring them right back to focus on me, and they see me and I'm present and I want to support them. Even if they do vote blue, you can still vote red for me and do everything else down the ticket blue, but you need representation. I live here, I'm from here, I live in this district, and I'm not going anywhere.
Right. So it's only one other Republican that is running against you in the primaries, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So it would be interested to see which Tamika is getting a lot of endorsements over the other candidate. And that's a big thing. Like you have basically the state party endorsing you. Because how many county GOP endorsements you have now?
So I have five, and I have five. So while we have 8 counties, there's one in particular. There's one county that does not have a central committee. And so that's one thing I try to educate people on. That's something that you and I've talked about, is that a lot of people Republicans at large, or even Democrats, they don't understand that there is a central committee for your party in your district. It's supposed to be anyway. One of my counties is dark. One of my counties is dark right now. From my understanding, so that central committee doesn't count towards my endorsements. For California, in order for you to get the state endorsement, you have to have 80% of the you have to have 80% of the district's endorsements, and right now I'm at 73%.
Wow.
And I have 5 counties that are backing my congressional race.
So all you need is just one more endorsement,
Yes.
right? You'll get there.
Yes.
And
Oh, definitely.
I'm glad you brought that up about the central committees because I didn't even know anything about the central committee until someone here, Shalera Taylor, is running for Congress here. She had told me to join, you know what I'm saying? And was like, that's how you can be able to change a lot of things that goes on in your community by joining these central committee seats. Like you have a big voice in your community. So I did sign up for our central committee. Actually, on the 25th, I get sworn in. I didn't know it was like an elected official seat.
Yeah, it is. You get
My
on the
name on the
ballot.
ballot and everything. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. I didn't know it was like that. But like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, what are your top three agendas for when you are? I'll have to say when you are sworn in as Congresswoman. What are your three main things? The three main top issues?
So we already know. So homelessness is a top issue of mine. Immigration, and supporting our active duty and our retiree military members. Those are my top three.
So I had a mayor that was running down there in Pasadena, and I asked him the question like, with the homeless crisis that's getting crazy and crazier in California, what kind of plan do you have to tackle that? Like,
Right. So obviously, it's a state issue at large, but from a federal standpoint, I can do the best that I can to make sure that we are working with HUD to provide the necessary housing that's needed in order to get these people off the streets.
mhm,
It is so vital that people, like, one thing that I also say is that it's not just like, oh, they need a home. No, we have to remedy why they're homeless to begin with. So we're talking about their mental health, we're talking about their financial health, all these different factors that come into play when we're talking about people becoming homeless. And a lot of it is from a financial means that they're homeless. And so it's all about separating and then finding a place for them to go. And Calvert, in Cali, it's so sad that we do not have adequate housing. And so that's where HUD can come in. And that's when you've seen the news talk about Ben Carson wanting to work with California and administration and the White House administration wanting to work with California to make sure that if we have federal facilities, that we are providing a space for them. And so that's what I want to do. And I'm not going to let that go. I'm not going to let that falter under my representation.
Yeah, because I think people get it misconstrued. Like it's a lot of reasons why people are. It's not. Well, it is not a lot, but yes, having getting a home and job comes into factor of that. But mental health is like a big reason because you have some people that's homeless for no reason and could have house or could stay with family member, but they state of mind is so gone. And I think people don't. They get that misconstrued, like, and don't even. These people don't want help.
Right. Right. I totally get it. Um, but yeah, so and then with so my next part would be immigration. One of the things that I want to do is we need to come with a solution for DACA. We need to also end birthright citizenship. We have to. And that's a topic that you and I have talked about in the past, and how, the media, unfortunately, has made it a racist topic. And that's something that we can kill that narrative with me being in that conversation.
Yeah, because immigration is just it's like they want all these people to come in, but you can't even process the people that you have in here. Like, let's get the immigration, however you want to sell it, and get this straight before you have all these other. You can't handle what you have right now. So how could you handle these bus loads that keep coming? And thank God that President Trump had did something with Mexico with that because it was a caravan coming and Mexico had stopped them, and I think it was Mexico sent them back. Like, no, it ain't no more coming through here, going to America, then going through. No, we're sending you back now, and they returned that whole busload right on back around. Like the immigration process need to be fixed. These lax laws is they getting taken advantage of because all they got to do, like you say, somebody pregnant, all they got to do is hurry up, run over here, and cross that line, and drop that baby. Now it's like you have to do it. The baby is American citizen, the mother is not, but who's going
Yeah.
to do all that? And then you have people coming over here with kids that's a lot of them kids, some of them not even their kids. And
Right.
like I was confused. So how do you feel about these states? And I'm not George. I'm sorry. California is one with giving illegal aliens ID.
I I mean, again, it goes against over anything that takes precedence over the American people is wrong. And right now, and this is the part where I think that Republicans get it wrong, is that we just want to ignore the fact that these people are going through something, right?
Mm.
They're going through something, and they're coming here, and I have a heart. I understand that, but that does not take away. And this is like something that like I said, you and I talked about before. Republicans have to understand that we have to speak to why they're coming here, and we have to put the responsibility back on the nations that they're coming from. What is the UN for? What are all of these things these protections in place for if we're not actually using them? There are already laws on the books that is supposed to prevent illegal immigration, and we're not using them. California being a sanctuary state, they largely ignore the angel moms that have children that have died
Yeah.
because of this, because of illegal alien. No, no, and I don't like to use the word. I shouldn't say illegal alien, but that's just what the first thought that came into my brain. But we cannot ignore the tragedies that have resulted from the fact that they live in this nation, and especially California. And I I think that giving IDs to anyone that's not a citizen, and not just giving IDs, but they're letting them hold public office. If I don't know if you know that, and
Really?
making this yes, yes, they're allowed to hold public office. They're allowed to get jobs with the state. I it's like, what about us? What about us? It's not sexy to be black. It's not sexy to be black anymore to get the black vote. And so now they're going to them. And why are they on the voter rolls? Why has that not been purged? Like, there's so many different factors, but it all goes back to Americans understanding that the idea or the concept of talking about politics or not talking about politics is only telling you that you do not have a right to know what's happening in your day-to-day life. Like, you don't have a stake in that conversation, and you do. Everything affects you, from the gas prices to property tax. All of this politics that affects your life. So you have to get involved, and you have to stay focused, and you have to see that knowing your representatives their platforms, all these things. And if they're in your community, is so vital to your well-being, because if that wasn't the case, if people were really involved, California would not be in the state that it's in right now. I don't care what anybody says. If they were actually looking at who they're voting for.
And it's crazy because they letting illegals do all that, but in the same token, telling black people that they are unable to get IDs. But you have illegal aliens, we don't know who these people are obtaining IDs. So how is it that people that travel from far and near can get an ID over the people that's sitting here? And you trying to say every time you bring up voter ID, it always racist and voter suppression. Like, you need an ID for everything. You can't cash a check without an ID. You can't even get welfare assistance without an ID. You can't even go in certain court. You can't go in the federal building without an ID. So
Right.
I feel that when it comes to something that's very crucial, everyone want to act like someone's so down bad. Well, pertaining to black people, or they want to say people of color.
Well, the thing is that you have to empower people with the information. And when I start talking about policy, and I talk about the policies that the administration is trying to push, that the state is trying to push, whether they're good or bad, when you inform people about policy and you get the feelings out of it, that it takes on a whole different meaning. And that's what I talk about. I don't talk about the feelings. I don't push any narratives that have been created from a media standpoint. I just talk about what matters to them, and I give them the information and the numbers, and that makes a difference. That truly makes a difference, and it takes the emotions out of it, because right now everything is polarized and everything is just emotionally based, and we have to get away from that.
Yeah, it's like everything is so emotional. I was on Angela Stanton Live. They giving something for Dr. Martin. I remember this is MLK Day, Martin Luther King Day, and they giving
Yeah.
for him and his. I seen his daughter Bernice. I don't know if the other brothers or other family members were there, but I just seen her from the way Angela was sitting and she was recording. You had all these black folks getting up, making it seem like we so oppressed, talk about this impressed, as if we still marching with Dr. Like, this is 2020. These are not the issues that's going on. It's like this is the day to remember his legacy, remember what he stood for, and try to bring some of those things back. Not make this a political thing. Like, the whole ceremony was political. Then when I was leaving off, they was bringing some cages up. I'm like, oh, I know they ain't about to do that. I know y'all ain't about to do that on Dr. Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah, that's sad. I didn't see it, but that's sad if
You
that's
go
if
live showing it. It's just crazy. Like, people
yeah.
they don't. It's just insane, and now they want to use that. It's just crazy. Like,
It's not about emotion, it's about a message. And you can't look at DNR anymore. You got to look at the message. You got to look at their track record. You got to look at their integrity. You got to look what they're saying. You got to look at their interviews. You got to read what they write. You have to look at that, because that's what you need to be basing your decision off of. Because I can tell you, I oppression. We're not oppressed. We have issues for sure, but everything that we have a problem with, there's a solution to here in our country.
mm-hmm.
And that's what we need to focus on. And this emotional decision making that the media and some Democrats, because another thing is, we got to stop saying all left, all Democrats, putting everybody in the same pot. That's
Mm-hmm.
not true. I need these people to vote for me. I can't sit up there, this thing where we're just saying like, oh, you know, all Republicans in the world can vote for me, but I still need Democrats to win the race, right?
Right,
Like that part they don't understand. And when I get to Congress, we have to have bipartisanship in order to get laws passed that are going to support the American people. So guess what? I got to work with Democrats.
right,
You know, that's the part that people forget. It's not about it's this purity loyalty test that they're trying to make people go through, and they're forgetting about the fact that the president himself is trying to work with both sides of the table in order to get the things done for the American people, and he's being fought left and right because they want to keep everything polarized. They want to keep everything separate. That is oppression when we're talking at large, because the American people are not being, even with all the accomplishments from this administration, there's still more work that needs to be done. And when you are putting everybody else before the American citizens, that's oppression.
Right.
That's oppression. That's oppression. So they need to be looking in the mirror. And just emotional based decision making, it doesn't last long. It's gonna fall because it's standing on sand. The foundation is on sand.
Yeah, I think the fear tax and everybody look at what they're doing in Virginia. The fear tactics they push on people is that people about to come shoot up the place because Second Amendment people are protesting their rights that they have to do without a government declared it a state of emergency, all kind of military like. But this is the fear I just don't like the fear tactics that they use on people instead of just sticking to their point of what's really going on.
Right. They're not looking at history. They're not educated on the past at all. And so what do they go to? They're going to what I mean, everyone's scared of dying young. Everyone's scared of a mass shooting. I don't care what anybody says. And so now they're gonna pump lies, they're gonna make them look like they're crazy. And when they're genuinely just want to protect their freedom. And big government is not about protecting liberty. There's never been a time in history where big government is protecting liberty. And I just I this is a time where the nation needs to forget about left or right and come together against tyranny, and that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. So tell everyone how they can, help your campaign going. If you out there, how they can donate or how they could even come do door knocking and different things like that.
Okay. Oh, because did you tell them you're coming up here to go do a door?
Yeah. I will be in California doing some door knocking, canvassing in the area, Cali. So you will see me out there door knocking after the primaries because we need to keep this going. Door knocking, door knocking, door knocking, door knocking. Like
Yes.
it wasn't in after the primary. Like the primary is just like the beginning.
Yes.
It's like
So, no, you're right. It's just the beginning, and a lot of people do not get like that's why you got to get involved now because that's how you know who the candidates are. Um, so to answer your question, votetamika.com. That's my website. That's where you can go to donate. There's a misconception that because the president is raising all this money that candidates get that money. No, I don't. So any dollar amount to this campaign is greatly appreciated. We do not get any money from the president, and the money that's raised sent to him at all, like none. So that's that. And you can send me an email. All of that information is on my website. But the primary, we're going to win the primary, and the general elections in November. But we have to, get products and register voters' hands. We got to go door to door. All this stuff costs money. Like you wouldn't even imagine, like the data, the digital, all those things cost money. Nothing is free. And if you want to take the House back, to get as many seats back as possible, you have to vote for, you have to support candidates. And this district can be taken back, and we'll be making history. We only have to close a 9% gap. That's 30,000 votes. And this is something that can be easily attained with my profile. My opponent's never run against anybody like me, and we're ready to take him on. And it's just all about the American people taking an invested interest in California, because you know that the laws that they create here go across the nation, and they try to push it between New York and California. And so with this candidacy, once I'm in this seat, I'm going to help my local representatives as well, state assembly, state senate, to and take them across the finish line, because it's all a money game. It's all a money game. And if you don't have the money, obviously first is Jesus, and then you have to have the money. Let's just be
right.
real. Yeah.
Well, I would like to thank you for coming on. And like she said, you can become a monthly donor, weekly donor. You can become a volunteer to gather up other volunteers to go canvas, get the word out, have small community meetings to let people know in your community, hey, this who running, this who can help us further move California along in a direction it needs to go. Especially if you're tired of looking at what's going on, especially in Congress, ain't did nothing for 2 years, but harass the president. So we need some type of shift of people that really want to go on there and work for the American people, not for their own interests. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming on, and all Tamika information is listed below in my description. You can just click on the link and make sure you go donate to me. Thank you all for tuning in with Free Politics with Tamika.